Hello, and welcome to our video focused on the second writing project in our course, which is the academic article proposal. Before listening to this video, please be sure to read the project handout and rubric available in our course site, as I'll highlight the most important details within this video, while the handout and rubric give you a full overview of expectations for the project. I want to begin by talking about the purpose of this project. Previously, in your annotated bibliography, you had the chance to compile research on the issue you plan to explore in your academic article. Now, the proposal is really your chance to take a stance on the same issue and use the research you have gathered to make the moves we've been talking about with academic argumentation. Please note, you are required to continue to discuss the same topic you explored in your annotated bibliography. If you are considering changing topics, you must clear a new topic with me, so please email me directly. Returning to the focus of the project, in the proposal you'll present ideas for how you plan to make an argument in your academic article, as you take a clear stance on your issue and discuss supporting and opposing views you plan to address. The academic article proposal is your chance to pitch your vision for the academic article. So because of that, the other thing I'll emphasize in this video is the more time and effort you put into this current project, the proposal, the easier it is going to be to compose your academic article as the final project, because you will be able to pull a lot of information that you discuss in the proposal directly into your academic article if it's well done. So I encourage you to think carefully and critically about the ideas you plan to share in your proposal. Now, to talk about the specific requirements for the project, if we look at the directions portion of the assignment description, you'll see I'm asking you to clearly emphasize your stance on an issue while discussing the approach you'll take to support your argument. To do so, you'll need to synthesize information from the research you've gathered to ultimately demonstrate that you've examined various perspectives on the topic, and more so to identify the specific claims and evidence you'll use to make a robust argument in your article. To do this, I'm asking you to compose a proposal that addresses the following points in the rationale. The entire project should be at least 1,200 words, which is a majority of the discussion will focus on the rationale that addresses the three sections outlined here. Really, these three sections, the issue, they say, and I say, mirror the moves we've discussed with academic argumentation this semester. Thus, they parallel the structure you'll use to compose your academic article. To begin, you'll discuss the issue in the first portion of the rationale, which is very similar to what an introduction in the initial part of your academic article will look like. In this section, you'll identify and describe the topic you're planning to discuss in your academic article. To do so, you may need to share relevant background information or explain technical or field-specific terms to familiarize your audience with the issue. More so, I want you to explain why this is worth considering, especially thinking about how this conversation has the potential to propel ideas in the field forward. Why is this an important topic to discuss now? How are you sharing new insight or discussing a unique angle of the topic that needs to be further explored, so you truly are contributing to an ongoing conversation? Next, you'll compose the they say section of your rationale, which is your opposing viewpoints. Here I'm asking that you not only identify opposing viewpoints, but that you get very specific. Who holds these opposing viewpoints? Does a specific individual, an organization? Did you find these ideas discussed in a specific source? I need you to identify where the information is coming from. Then, thoroughly identify and discuss the claims they make and what evidence they use to support their claims. Remember, even though you're taking a stance that differs from the claims in the they say section, it's imperative that you find credible research to acknowledge opposing claims. In other words, it's important that you are able to contend with opposing viewpoints that are logical and well supported by credible evidence. You will need to avoid opposing claims that are unsupported and unreliable. Finally, I want you to end by discussing how you plan to contend with these views. Will you disagree entirely with the claims? Will you acknowledge some portion of their viewpoint but contest with parts of their argument? How do you plan to respectfully enter into conversation with the opposing views? That's a great way to transition to the final portion of the rationale, which is the I say section. In the I say section, you'll clearly identify your position while justifying and defending that stance. So what stance are you taking within your thesis statement? What support and evidence do you have that you will use in depth to fully defend that position? In this portion, I want you to identify specific sources here, specific arguments that you'll draw from, and again, tie it to your thesis statement. How are these ideas and sources going to fully support the claim that you're making? I'm also asking that you list your thesis statement. To do so, you may simply list the thesis immediately above the rationale. Be sure to identify it by writing thesis statement, and then list your 1 to 2 sentence thesis to ground the discussion that follows in the project. Afterwards, you'll discuss the issue, they say, and I say sections. When discussing an issue, opposing viewpoints, and supporting claims, the importance of organization cannot be overstated. Well-structured paragraphs are essential for ensuring that your discussion is both compelling and easy to follow. Each paragraph should be focused on a single unified main idea, and careful attention should be paid to how these ideas transition from one paragraph to the next. By doing so, you create a logical flow that helps your reader connect the dots between the unique sections in the rationale, making the discussion both coherent and cohesive. Avoid brief responses to the assignment prompts, as this will fragment the discussion and leave the reader without a clear understanding of your approach. Instead, aim to develop a thoughtful, thorough exploration in your rationale that gives a comprehensive overview of the approach you plan to take in your article. Doing so will allow you to demonstrate a deep understanding of the topic while presenting the viewpoints you'll address in an organized, effective manner. Another important requirement for the rationale is the incorporation of research. As you discuss your topic, and especially your I say and they say sections, research should be skillfully integrated into your composition. To do so, this will require you to not only identify the sources you plan to draw from as you discuss supporting and opposing views in your article, but it will require you to synthesize material from the sources to aid in the conversation. Essentially, you will need to weave together the various sources you've identified around a specific claim. We'll discuss synthesis within the module much more. You'll also notice that anytime research is referenced in the project, you'll be expected to properly cite it, both in text and on the works cited or reference list. After the rationale, I'm asking you to create an outline of how you expect your academic article to unfold. So you'll identify the main points as well as the support and evidence you'll use. Within the module, there's a discussion on creating robust, clear outlines as well as an example. Additionally, you'll find a discussion about the moves I'm asking you to make in the rationale. I highly suggest you dive into this material and familiarize yourself with how to approach these expectations in the project. Finally, you'll create a formal works cited or reference list according to MLA or APA documentation standards. And this should list at least 4 sources. This requirement exists for a few reasons. 1, it's your second time citing research in the course, so this is your chance to correct any errors you may have had on the first project, while also gaining experience composing a formal works cited page or reference list. More so, the source requirement has increased, so you're able to gradually expand your research to prepare for the academic article. These sources should not only be cited properly, but they should pass the CRAP test. Additionally, you're required to have a balance of academic and non-scholarly research, which means at least 2 scholarly sources. It's completely fine if you list the sources you used in your annotated bibliography, but the academic source requirement has now increased to a 2-source minimum. That covers the main requirements for the project. As you begin, please remember I'm always happy to assist you, so just email me directly if you have questions. Otherwise, I look forward to reading your final projects.